Hello, my dear students. This is your Baskaran, and we are again meeting at English in its element. Following the previous episode, we continue our journey through grammar in unit number 4, and now we are at page number 124 of your textbook. Here we find the topic conditional clauses. We are very familiar with this topic because we have seen about this in our classes 9, 10 and even at our class 11. Conditional clauses are otherwise called conditionals. You find a picture on the right and it is about conditionals. It says conditionals in English grammar are sentences with two clauses, an if clause and a main clause, which describe a condition and the result of it. There are four types actually, and they are namely zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and the third conditional. Zero conditional. Its combination is if or when plus present simple followed by present simple or imperative clause, in which facts and situations that are always true are mentioned. And an example for this is, if you don't water the flowers, they die. And another use of this conditional is to give instructions. And the example is, if you want to come, send me a message. So this is about zero conditional. And coming down to first conditional, the combination is if or unless followed by present simple and will plus infinitive. This is used to talk about possible and probable situations. The example is, if you behave kindly, people will respect you. And similarly, to make promises and give warnings. The example is, if I have time, I will visit you soon. Now we are moving on to second conditional, where the combination is if plus past simple and would plus infinitive. This is to talk about imaginary, unreal or impossible situations. Two examples are given here. Let's see. If I were rich, I would buy a mansion by the sea. And another one is, if I found a ring, I would not keep it. And now we are going to the third conditional. Its combination is if plus past perfect and would have past participle. This is to talk about things that did not happen. Example is, if you had studied more, you would have passed the test. And another example is, I would not have been late if I had not woken up at 12 a.m. So these are the things given on the right side as examples as well as explanation. And let's see something more on the left side as examples. Here on the left, we find the topic conditional clauses, and the instruction is, let us recall what you have learned about conditional clauses in standard 11. Type 1, if I play well, I will win the match. It is to express possible condition. And type 2 is, if it rained, they would cancel the match. It is used to say about an unlikely or hypothetical condition. And the third one is type 3, if Saravanan had played well, he would have won the match. Here it is an impossible condition. Now we have a task below. Task number 1. We have got some sentences here we have to answer. The instruction is read the following sentences and fill in the blanks. Now let's see the answers. Sentence A. If I dash be a spider, I dash weave webs. Now you take a notebook and a pen, take down these sentences and also the answers I tell you now. See here, it speaks about a fellow imagining that he were a spider. A man cannot be a spider, so it is something impossible. So we have to use second conditional here, and the be verb would be changed into were. That is in past tense. Even for be verb we must use only were here, not was. So the answer is, if I were a spider, I would weave webs. In the main clause the combination is would plus infinitive. Coming to sentence B. If Raj dash be a sculptor, he dash make beautiful idols. Here also we speak about a guy named Raj, and it is set in an imaginary condition. He is not really a sculptor, but we imagine if he were a sculptor. So again second conditional, and the be verb should be written or expressed using the word were. So if Raj were a sculptor, again in the main clause the combination is would plus infinitive. So he would make beautiful idols. If Raj were a sculptor, he would make beautiful idols. Coming to C. If Mary had an umbrella. Here if clause is completely given and we find the past simple as verb here. And so the main clause has to be filled in, and naturally it should be would plus infinitive because it is in second conditional. If Mary had an umbrella, she would lend it to me. It means Mary does not have an umbrella and so she cannot lend it to me. Coming to D. Rex would have played with me. Look at the verb would have played. Would have plus past participle. This comes only in third conditional, and so the if clause must have the combination of past perfect, that is had plus past participle. So the answer here is, if he had time. Had plus PP3 of has given here. So had. The entire answer is Rex would have played with me if he had time. Now we have come to the next page 125, where we continue task 1. Now we could see sentence E at the left top corner. If I were you, see the verb here in the if clause, it is were. So naturally it is in second conditional, so the main clause must be would plus infinitive. So the answer is, if I were you, I would accept this offer. Coming to F. We dash select storybooks for kids if we allot time for storytelling. In the if clause the verb is in present simple, allot. So the main clause must be in future simple, that is will plus infinitive. So the answer is, we will select storybooks for kids if we allot time for storytelling. Coming to G. The education minister dash visit our school tomorrow if he goes by this way. In if clause the verb is goes, that is in present simple, so naturally the main clause must be in future simple with the combination of will plus infinitive. So the answer is, the education minister will visit our school tomorrow if he goes by this way. The next one is H. You will be rewarded by the wise if you dash for the truth, and within brackets the verb is stand. So the answer here is, we consider the main clause and the verb there is will be rewarded. We find will plus be plus past participle. So it is in first conditional. So the answer must be in present simple. And so the entire sentence goes like this: you will be rewarded by the wise if you stand for the truth. Coming to the next sentence, I. If my mother dash know of my poor performance in the exam, she will not allow me to watch a movie. Here the main clause is given, and where we find the verb will not allow, future simple. So the if clause must be in present simple because it's first conditional. So the answer is, if my mother knows, combination of does plus know, that is present simple here. If my mother knows of my poor performance in the exam, she will not allow me to watch a movie. Coming to the last one in task number 1, J. If I had won the lottery. See the combination in the if clause, had won. It is past perfect. So naturally the main clause must be would have plus past participle because it is in the third conditional. That we come to know by the verb combination or the tense form in the if clause, had plus 1. So the answer is, if I had won the lottery, I would have donated. I would have donated relief materials for the flood victims. So the V1 given within the bracket here is donate, and so the entire sentence is, if I had won the lottery, I would have donated relief materials for the flood victims. Let's move on to task 2. Task 2 here is to rewrite the following sentences using if without changing the meaning. An example is there, let's go through it. Unless you go for a walk regularly, you cannot reduce your weight. So here the word unless has been used, whereas we have to use if and rewrite the same sentence without changing the meaning. So the answer is given there itself. See, within brackets we find use if, and after that the answer is given. If you do not go for a walk regularly, you cannot reduce your weight. So, unless is equal to if not. You can replace unless with the if, then in the if clause we should convert the verb into a negative one using not. And when we introduce not there, you should use the proper conjugation. We have seen many conjugations in tense forms, so we should go for the right one. And here in the example, unless you go, the verb is go and the subject is you. And so when the answer is given, for the subject you, when you want to make the clause negative, that begins with the word you, and the verb is in present simple. That verb go is split into two. You can split it into do plus go, and in between we have to place the word not. We know not should be the second word in the conjugation. So in the answer we find if you do not go, that is where the change occurs. So we have to follow the same thing everywhere in all the other sentences given under this task. So now let's come to sentence A. Sindhu would not have won the world championship unless she had had single-minded devotion. It is the sentence given. We have to remove unless and use if in place of that. It is not enough. In addition to that, when we do this, we have to change the clause into a negative one. So when we replace unless with if, we have to say it this way. Sindhu would not have won the world championship if she had not had single-minded devotion. You look at or observe the change here. If she had not had single-minded devotion, we replace unless with if and we introduce not between the two words had and had. Coming to B. You will not reach your goal unless you chase your dream. Okay, we have to change, replace unless with if, fine. At the same time, the verb that comes after you is chase, which is in present simple tense form. So you have to convert that into a negative one. So you have to write, if you do not chase your dream. So the entire sentence is, you will not reach your goal if you do not chase your dream. Coming to C. Unless we plant more trees, we cannot save our planet. Okay. Here we are going to replace unless with if, and the verb here is plant, which is in present simple, that has to be converted into negative one. So now the answer is, if we do not plant, this is the change. If we do not plant more trees, we cannot save our planet. Then coming to D. The rescue team would not have saved the victims unless they had received the call in time. Here, as usual, we are going to replace unless with if, but at the same time, the verb had received should be converted into a negative one. To make it, we have to introduce not between had and received. So the sentence is, the rescue team would not have saved the victims if they had not received the call in time. Coming to sentence E. The palace cannot be kept clean unless we appoint more people. So we have to replace unless with if. When we do it, the verb appoint should be converted into a negative one. So we have to write, the palace cannot be kept clean if we do not appoint more people. Coming to the next one, F. The portraits would not have been so natural unless the artist had given his best. Good. Now we are replacing unless with if. At the same time, the verb had given should become had not given. We are making it negative. Okay. Now the sentence is, the portraits would not have been so natural if the artist had not given his best. And we have to move on to the next one, G. Sentence G. The manager would not have selected Nitiksha unless she exhibited good accounting skill. So we are going to replace unless with if, and then the verb here is exhibited. It should be converted into a negative one. Fine. Now take a look at the verb of the main clause. It is would not have selected. So it indicates that it is in third conditional. For third conditional, in if clause, the verb should be in past perfect tense form. So here when we write the answer, we should be very careful, and the answer is, the manager would not have selected Nitiksha if she had not exhibited accounting skill. Note this point, if she had not exhibited accounting skill. Coming to the next one, H. The policeman would not have arrested the man unless he had violated the rules. Now when we replace unless with if, the verb had violated must be converted into a negative one. So it should be, if he had not violated the rules. So the answer will be, so the answer is, the policeman would not have arrested the man if he had not violated the rules. Coming to the next one, I. Mr. Kunal would not sponsor my higher education unless I studied well. Here the sentence is in second conditional, would not sponsor, and in unless clause the verb is studied, that is in past simple. Now we are going to replace unless with if. So the verb studied should be converted into a negative one since it is in second conditional. As I told you earlier, because of the verb in main clause being would not sponsor, we have to write studied as did not study to make it negative. So the if clause here is, if I did not study well. I repeat, if I did not study well. So the entire answer is, Mr. Kunal would not sponsor my higher education if I did not study well. You must know the difference between the sentence G and sentence I. In both the cases, after unless, the verb is in past simple. But when we rewrite the sentences using if, in sentence G, we have to go for the combination had not exhibited because the main clause of that sentence is would not have selected. So that proves that it is in the third conditional. But when we come to the sentence I, though the verb after unless is in past simple, when we rewrite the sentence using if, we go for did not study because the entire sentence is in second conditional, that is indicated by the verb in the main clause of the sentence where the verb is would not sponsor. Coming to the next one, J. Kavin will not stop flying kites. Will not stop flying kites unless he understands the risk involved in it. Here, when we replace unless with if, we have to change the verb understands into a negative one. So, we have to write does not understand. That verb understands. It is split. When it is split, according to conjugation, it splits into does understand and in between comes not. So, the answer is Kavin will not stop flying kites if he does not understand the risk involved in it. Coming to the next one, K. Tanya would not know the answer unless she referred to the answer key. So we have to replace unless with if. When we do so, the verb after it, that is the verb referred, has to be converted into a negative one. For this, we have to see the verb in the main clause, that is would not know here. It indicates that it is in second conditional. So, we have to rewrite the sentence like this. That is, Tanya would not know the answer if she did not refer. This is very important here. This is similar to sentence I. This is similar to sentence I. So, Tanya would not know the answer if she did not refer to the answer key. That is the answer. Coming to the next and the last one of this task, the sentence L is, my village cannot achieve 100% literacy rate unless the elders of the village cooperate with the education department. When we replace unless with if, the verb cooperate should be changed into a negative one and so it should be written as do not cooperate, because the subject of if clause here is the elders, which is plural. So the answer is, my village cannot achieve 100% literacy rate if the elders of the village do not cooperate with the education department. So we wind up the entire grammar part of unit number 4, and I believe all the answers I gave you and the guidance I gave you to arrive at the answers were understandable and easy for you. And I believe this session was useful. Thank you for patiently listening to me and taking down all the answers. Then go through the answers once again. Let's meet again in our next episode. Until then, thank you and goodbye from Baskaran.